The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Straight ahead tonight on Beyond the Headlines, a former Royal Bahamas Defense Force officer getting ready to serve time in a U.S. prison. Also, Southern Shore's MP Leroy Major throwing his full support behind Clint Watson. That's right. Major says if Clint Watson doesn't get the nod, then the party has him to contend with. And later tonight, the Royal Bahamas Police Force is here to talk about fire services and emergency response. And then a little after that, the Department of Customs join me on Beyond the Headlines. It's all straight ahead for you this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, we're going to get started right now this evening. A former senior officer of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force sentenced to 48 months in a U.S. prison after being caught up in what prosecutors describe as an international drug and gun smuggling ring. Former Chief Petty Officer Darren Roca used his position in law enforcement to help move cocaine and firearms into the United States. This all took place back in November of 2024. A U.S. indictment was unsealed charging 13 defendants, 11 of them Bahamians, in a transnational trafficking operation stretching from the Bahamas into the United States. Prosecutors say Roca exploited his access and authority to facilitate the flow of drugs across borders of breach and trust that has now brought international consequences. And tonight, the Minister of National Security is responding for the first time since that sentencing, warning that law enforcement officers who betray their badge here in the Bahamas should expect the full force of the law.
I think what we've seen recently, because I don't think we can stick our heads in the sand. We've seen a number of law enforcement officers in the Bahamas fall afoul of the law. Immigration officers, defense force officers, police officers, correction officers. And just as what's happening to, I think he is a Chief Roca in the U.S., if you fall afoul of the law, you will be called to account. And what I would like to stress is what we see in this country is that you're being called to account by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. They investigate, and if they find a matter, they put you before the court. People ask me, well, how do I feel because you have all of these cases coming up against law enforcement? I would think we should be more afraid if you didn't see cases. If you saw absolutely no case against a law enforcement officer, you should be afraid.
National Security Minister Wayne Monroe saying, listen, be afraid or have questions when you see no cases like this happening. I'm going to jump right in right now with the Hot Topics panelists. Good evening to Cassia Stewart, Ellington Ferguson. Gentlemen, you heard what Monroe is saying. The thing is, boy, it's been one thing after the next. I mean, there are so many officers lined up to either serve jail time in the United States or even here. Your thoughts about what he said that, listen, this sort of shows that the law has no respect of whomever you are.
You know, Shanique, good evening, Bahamas. Certainly it's a pleasure to be here once again. I must agree with the Minister of National Security. I think when you look at these institutions, they're here to enforce the law. And of course, like he often says, sometimes a lot of us don't like to hear him say it, but these people come from among us, and even though they do their best to vet them, people will go afoul of the law. There is no perfect human being, and people will be tempted one way or another to go after greed or whatever it is. And it's good that we can see that once these things are brought to light, that they're being dealt with and not just swept under the rug. So it's appalling when we hear these things happen from our law enforcement personnel, but it's good to know that the law takes its course and these persons are brought before the courts.
Shanik, I'm concerned because, so many of our police officers, which basically is the white blood cell of the body, and because, when the body gets infection, white blood cells attack that infection, make sure the body remains healthy. The police force is like the white blood cells of the Bahamas. They make sure that we remain healthy. If they go awry, then we get a problem. Now, the minister says that we should be concerned if we don't see these cases. I'm concerned about that statement because is it possible for us to have good officers? Would you saying that we can have officers going before the courts? I don't think that's a good statement to say. I think what he should have said is that, we expect integrity. We expect all of our officers, once they accept the responsibility of being a police officer, to abide by the law and enforce the law. And so I'm not sure that's a good statement for the minister to make, because that gets me concerned, because for me to sit back and wait for a police officer to get charged before the court means something wrong. I mean, is it possible for us to grow proper citizens and have good police officers?
I mean, is it possible? You all saw the fully dunce dude last week who tried to ask the tourists for a little slow 20. I mean, a slow 20 to ask a tourist who was driving a moped allegedly and report. Well, no, allegedly. That was on the camera right there on his glasses. You all saw that. So, is it possible to have officers to have
Shanique, to have if for that to be
officers
possible,
of great repute?
You got to have perfect citizenry. We don't have perfect citizenry. We don't have perfect human beings. So that is not possible. They choose from the pool of Bahamians, and we all have somewhere or another these inclining about getting rich quick and all these things. Some people join the force to get it, to get these entitlements unbeknown to the leadership. And it's good when the leadership can make it known to the rest of the force that you will be dealt with.
Gentlemen, Cassius, I know you want to jump in, but let's just move forward. I promise you, either tomorrow.
Good juicy point right there.
Tomorrow or Friday, I will.
Good juicy point, Shanique.
What the point is?
The point is social engineering. It is possible for us to engineer a society where we abide by the law. When you look at societies like Singapore, you look at societies like Malaysia, you don't hear the same type of corruption among the force. I went to Dubai the other day. They said if you kill someone, they kill you the same day. If you thief, they cut off your hand. So nobody's stealing and nobody killing. And so what you have to do is you have to enforce the law.
You have to enforce the law.
So, it is possible to walk the straight line, Ellington.
Enforce the laws on the books, man. We got them. We got the same laws as Dubai and everywhere else. And so you're right. But let's quickly run on, gentlemen. A first-time member of parliament is stepping back into the spotlight months after going silent following controversial comments that made many say that he put his own political future in question. Now, as candidate ratifications nears, of course, that's tomorrow evening in the Progressive Liberal Party, he's speaking out and taking a position that could reshape the race in his own constituency. Jose Etienne has the story, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
I support Clint, all right? Now, the problem is this. If they don't give it to Clint, then they got to face me. That's the bottom line.
A bombshell announcement coming from Southern Shore's incumbent Member of Parliament, Leroy Major, who says he's come to grips with the governing Progressive Liberal Party, moving on from him as a representative for the area.
I wish that Peter had that conversation. Unfortunately, the party decided to go somewhere else, but that's okay.
You said the leaders of the party didn't have that conversation with you about moving in a different direction. Do you feel slighted by that?
To be honest, the leaders them could do what they want to do, okay? I know that I did send them a letter and told them that I'm interested in renomination. I did send them a letter, but of course, they see different. But that's okay. That's okay. They can make their choice, and I can make mine.
The church leader, who says he never gave up on his constituents, is breaking his silence days after ZNS General Manager Clint Watson and PLP Deputy Chairman Obi Roberts both appeared before the Candidate Selection Committee to make their case as to why they should be Major's successor. It's also been widely suggested that the party is also considering Robin Lyons for the seat. But political observers suggest that Major is being allegedly sidelined by the party for speaking out about serving on the backbench last year.
I've never spoken against the party. I've never spoken against the party, and me and my leaders, we never had a conversation in reference to that.
So, what's next for the incumbent MP?
We expect Mr. Major to be an independent candidate in the next election.
Watch the road. Anything else?
Meanwhile, Roberts and Watson have created a stir in the Southern constituency. A branch meeting held days ago showed how divided the area seemingly was, with Major now out of the PLP's picture.
Through all of this drama and catastrophe that is taking place in Southern Shores, I've been watching, and to me, being a resident of Southern Shores, it is totally and absolutely disrespectful. So I'm not going to disrespect the people in Southern Shores.
Nonetheless, Major says he's not going anywhere, creating a mystery as to what his political future holds.
Well, the good thing about it, I live in Southern Shores, okay? I am still the representative of Southern Shores. I am still working in Southern Shores. I am still talking and meeting and doing what I need to do as a member of Parliament in Southern Shores. And so whoever they put in Southern Shores, at the end of the day, they will have to come through me.
Major say, watch the road. That's all I'm saying. Ellington Cassius, listen, this man is very vocal these days.
Give me 5 photos of the 5 prime ministers we've had and then put Leroy Major's photo right next to them. Obviously.
But name me 5 things he said in the last 5 years. These individuals.
Leroy Major, you should have been watching the road.
Nobody even, that's the first time I really see him.
Not at all. He was on the show once, though, when he was chairman of BAIC.
The point I'm trying to make is 5 years, you didn't make an input.
Too big for
you
their
have to
britches
make an
too
input.
quick.
And so right now the party say, listen, the constituency, listen, we want somebody new. And, the race between Obi Roberts and Clint Watson, and may the best man win. But, I'm not sure Leroy has a...
I think he should hit the road.
One of our viewers said, y'all don't be so nasty like that.
No, sorry.
Don't be harsh.
No,
one of our viewers said, listen, what the minister meant, meaning Wayne Monroe, is that we are an imperfect people and that there will be imperfection in law enforcement agencies, and that that every country there is in the world, there is imperfection. The only perfection is where, gentlemen?
But I expect perfection.
Yes,
I
you
understand
need to make Jesus say it.
No,
He without saying.
I expect perfection from our
Beyond the
police
headlines,
officers,
backward
from
after
all of our
this.
uniform officers.
I agree with
I don't
you.
expect nothing less.
January means business.
Rejuvenate, refresh, treat yourself. Immerse yourself in total comfort. Pamper yourself. After all, you're worth it. Relax. Rid yourself of all life's stresses. At Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa, you will find everything you need to enhance your body and spirit. Call today at 323-6711 and begin your journey to serenity at Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Okay, guys, this what we doing today. We training for the bounce back. This $150K payday. Y'all ready? Yes. Y'all sweating today. Give me a 2 ball. 10. Give me another 2 ball. 15. You spin, right? It don't look so. It's 10K. Name these games after me. Fruit Dragon.
Fruit Dragon!
Cinema Classic.
Cinema Classic!
Yeah! Put that parlay in. Put that in. Jalen Brunson disappointed us last time. You want to walk for this or you want to run for this? Good pace. Good pace. Not too much water. Hit it down. Let's go.
It's the Bounce Back 150K payday. Big wins for 10 weeks straight. 15K every week. 10K to a lucky winner. Visit islandluck.com for more info. Island and luck. Winners live here.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Last evening here on the show, we featured an Andros businessman who, along with several others, lost their fish fry stalls to fire. That was 1 week ago. We also spoke with a volunteer firefighter and community leader from South Eleuthera on the tense moments they have had in Eleuthera as a result of structural and bushfires last year. In both instances, it was the lack of fire equipment and resources, although South Eleuthera is well on its way to fixing those issues now. But this issue of a lack of equipment and resources is something much of the nation is faced with, including right here in the capital. Tonight, we speak with the two men who head the Fire Services Department of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, ACP Marino Hines, and who is the head of the Fire Services Department, and his assistant, Superintendent Quincy McGregor. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. It's great to have you both here.
Good evening, Shanique. It's such a pleasure to be here once again.
Good evening, Shanique. It's a pleasure to be here also.
It's good to have you both again. There have been a number of destructive fires in 2025 and even at the beginning of this year. The first major fire, if we just go back a little bit, was that the Hyacinth Stewart building that was to house several government agencies. That happened, of course, like I said, around the middle of last year, thereabouts. ACP Hines, can you and Superintendent McGregor speak to the number of fires over the past months?
Okay, certainly, Shanique. Firstly, I'd like to make one slight correction. I'm an assistant commissioner with responsibilities for the Fire Services Department, and Superintendent McGregor, he is the co-deputy of the Fire Services Department. And it's my pleasure to speak to those unfortunate incidences. Last year, as you mentioned, I think we had too many fires. The building and the structure that housed Cost-Right was first of a few of them. Since that time, we have completed that investigation and we came to a satisfactory conclusion on what would have caused that fire. Since that time, as you are aware, Arawaki, several stalls were caught ablaze, and we investigated that, and those causes are, in our view, undetermined at this time. And so we continue to press forward and to seek solutions for all of these catastrophic events that would have occurred in our recent past.
And I know you're not here to discuss like the future rebuilding of Arawaki and how that should look, so we're not going to even dwell there. But there was also the apartment complex on East Bay Street where several people lost their homes. And so, like you say, major fires, almost seemingly one after the other, and just quite disturbing, to tell you the truth. Now, gentlemen, there have been heavy criticism after each of those major fires about the time it took fire services to respond to the fire, how they showed up. Many people pointed fingers and said, "You all aren't even equipped. There's no water," or maybe the more highly advanced fire trucks are needed for that level of fire. How do you respond to those criticism, and do you agree?
Well, I wouldn't say that I totally agree. What I would say is that if we're looking at those fires on a case-by-case basis, and I speak specifically to the Elizabeth Avenue fires, the apartment complexes there, I heard those criticisms, and I do not accept that. When you look at the total facts, there were several buildings ablaze, and we had to make a determination on where we would start and how we would tackle the fires. As you are aware, Bay Street is the center of commerce, and we saw that the fires were threatening the entire Bay Street stretch. And so we had to make a determination, and unfortunately, some persons lost their homes, but we did our best. We had all of our apparatuses, and our partners and stakeholders from the airport authority also joined in with us, and they helped to fight those fires. And even we lost some persons as far as some injuries. Several persons, officers to some injuries, but we did our absolute best in fighting those fires. And I would say that the time that we were there was an adequate time, but unfortunately, the time that it took for the entire resolution of that matter, in my view, it could have been better. But like all of these instances where people lose precious items and their homes, it will never be satisfactory.
Right, absolutely. ACP and Superintendent, you heard ACP Superintendent, and I know you know very well, I don't even have to say it to you, but you heard him talk about, things perhaps could have been different or gone a different way. Do you gentlemen feel as though, because I don't recall seeing one in the Bahamas, that it's time to invest in firefighting equipment, meaning fire trucks that have like area ladders and whatnot? I mean, are we at a disadvantage because we don't have that level of firefighting equipment?
Well, I can speak to that, and I want to certainly allow Superintendent McGregor to chime in. However, just last year, the commissioner, along with myself and some other key personnel, we traveled to Germany and Scotland with the view to procuring the fire apparatuses that you speak of, and we call them articulated ladder trucks. And I do not want to make a premature announcement, but I do believe that we will have one of those very, very shortly, in addition to a lot of other tankers and mid-level trucks. And so that is coming, but I reserve those types of announcements for the Commissioner and the Minister with responsibility for national security.
Yes, I would like to say also too that I concur with Mr. Hines. We have those things in the making, and we do have modern firefighting equipment here on island.
We do?
Yes, we do.
How many fire trucks do we have, Superintendent?
We have 3 active fire trucks, midliners, and we have a tanker that has capacity of 2,000 gallons of water.
What is a tanker like? Just like a water truck, but
It's a water tanker that holds 2,000 gallons of water. I would say this to the public. The thing of a fire truck coming with no water is an urban myth. That doesn't happen.
So it's just us exaggerating and being caught up in the moment.
Okay. What persons usually see is what we call a relay. The fire ground truck, the initial first truck, will arrive on the scene with 1,000 gallons of water, and the backup truck will come with another 1,000 gallons of water. So as that truck that is coming in ties into the truck that is initially there, you have 2,000 gallons of water actually on the scene, and the tanker with other 2,000 gallons is en route to that scene. So in essence, you have 4,000 gallons of water coming onto a scene at any given time from the fire services. So when persons see that, they automatically assume that the second truck had no water. So that is an urban myth of a fire truck actually arriving on the scene.
So you all never show up and look around and scratch your head because you know it was said. So I see you laughing, ACP, because I'll tell you what it was said. It said you all stood by like you all were stunned as well. And when I say you all, I'm generalizing with the team. Stood by and like in shock, like man, this thing might as well just burn because we ain't equipped.
No. You have to admit that in a serious situation, that's the kind of humor that you must observe, just so that you're not totally immersed in the nonsense. It's almost crazy to think that a fire truck that isn't 24 hours fighting a fire would not replenish and have water in it going to a brand new fire. Mm-hmm. So we are trained, and our concepts are semi-military. And so whenever those trucks are idle, we service them and we replenish them so that when it is time for an active firefighting, they're always ready to go. Always ready to go.
ACP and Superintendent, another question is, and I know you're getting new equipment, and I wouldn't go further because I know you all obviously don't want to preempt anything, but let's just talk about current staffing, and even with the additional coming on, is current staffing levels sufficient to meet demands?
Absolutely, Shanique. I'm pleased to announce that just recently, just last year, December as a matter of fact, we brought on an additional 30 firefighters. And that is the kind of planning that our commissioner is known for.
30 just last year?
Just last year.
Okay.
And obviously this is to complement the fire apparatuses that we expect to acquire in 2026 or 2027, in addition to brand new facilities at police headquarters and other places to be named later throughout the archipelago of the Bahamas.
I was about to say that. Thank you, sir, because the Family Islands are also quite vulnerable. And I know that there are other agencies like Backswin, for example, coming on stream fully and all that.
Yes.
But let's just talk about fire response for Andros. We just talked about Andros, and you saw what happened a week ago.
Right.
What's sort of in the pipeline for Family Islands?
Well, all of our family islands, not only Andros, all of our family islands, we are looking to fully equip them with firehouses and firefighting equipment, anywhere from midliners to tankers to other smart devices that will help with the bushfires where we don't want to put persons in danger. And so the Bahamian populace, they're going to be pleasantly surprised for what is in store for all of our family islands, most notably the major ones.
Yeah, I think everybody is quite happy to hear that. Let's talk about functioning fire hydrants, because and you could go back to a little snicker, because people are saying, listen, they came without water, they stood there, they watched and they waited. So are there sufficient working fire hydrants, particularly in high trafficked areas, commerce areas, even residential areas? Are there sufficient working fire hydrants and that type thing?
Okay, Shanique, you have to bear in mind that the fire hydrants are on the same main as the residential waters. So in certain areas you would have low pressure during the time of the day, and then some areas you wouldn't have a functional fire hydrant or water spigot. We tend to sometimes go to different sources of water just for firefighting purposes, such as our bore wells and excavated wells. That are some of the features that we will have to do in order to get water at times. But as far as fire hydrants go, there are fire hydrants placed in strategic areas that are functional, and then some that are not functional.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, Shanique, those fire hydrants, they are facilitated by the Ministry of Works, and they are supplied with water from water and sewage. So we just access them for our apparatuses.
Yes, I will. You know, that can sometimes go with the low pressure, and we would need everything operating at all times, quite frankly. Now, you mentioned about the 30 brand new firefighters. I smile because based on what we just saw last year and the beginning of this year, that's good news. How often is there retraining and upskilling in the department?
Take that.
Yes, in the fire services, we are constantly training. Training is paramount. You have to stay in your mindset of being trained because of new technology that is coming about in firefighting science. So our training level is sometimes internationally certified. We do adhere to NFPA standards, National Fire Protection Agency standards, and that is how we go about with our day-to-day, because every day there's training. There's some course of training in the fire services just to stay current and to stay active.
Well, that sounds good, especially with maybe the advanced technology that's coming on stream as well, or being introduced to the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about public safety and even people taking responsibility. I'd like to ask you, ACP and Superintendent, what public safety messages do you wish to send to residents and business owners? We saw how all were impacted last year and the start of this year.
Thank you for that question, and it's a very timely one. Historically, we are approaching the drier months, February, March, April, and sometimes into May. And even though May is a little wetter, we see that the forestry areas become extremely and increasingly dry. We want to say to the Bahamian people that it doesn't take much to start a fire. Once there is fuel, oxygen, and heat, there is going to be a fire. So we want them to be very careful when they discard their cigarettes or anything that is flammable, any accelerant, when they're camping or cooking or anything that can cause a fire. Once a fire starts, people are often surprised at how quickly it spreads. And then sometimes that is where we have trouble. So we just want people to be very cautious, very responsible in their activities, and we want a very safe and productive 2026.
Also, we would like persons to invest in early detection devices such as smoke detectors.
I was just about to ask that.
The testimonial on smoke detectors, goes beyond where persons were asleep and were woken by a smoke detector going off in their homes, and they was able to get them and themselves and their families out to safety. Even a little small little 5-pound fire extinguisher at times in your home would be very, very good to have, and also to adhere to certain aspects of candle safety, such as being able to secure a candle in a lit candle in a saucer with water. All of these things are paramount that can help you. Also, not leaving your stoves unattended.
Right.
Those things can assist you in being safe from fires also.
Yes, we know a lot of our buildings are older. You mentioned ACP about the Elizabeth Avenue apartment. That's right, Victoria and Elizabeth Avenue apartment complex. We saw that fire play out live.
Right.
What is being done to enforce, just as you said, Superintendent, from smoke detectors and everything else, but to enforce and inspect and educate on fire codes and safety, particularly in high-rise buildings and even office buildings and structures that are multi-storied?
Yes, thank you, Shanique. We have now, from time of memorial, embarked in training. Our fire prevention team is very paramount in getting in this message of fire safety into the business community. A matter of fact, the new licensing period for businesses now, you must have a fire inspection done to your business place. So these are the key issues that we are now seeing to be addressing in the fire services, and keeping our community safe is paramount in our fight to make sure that our country is safe from fires.
And when you work or live in a high-rise, and in our version of a high-rise, a multi-storied building, should there be ongoing fire safety drills?
Yes. Your drills are essential and important for everyone to know exactly what to do in the event of a fire. We do go into hotels, hotels and business places and conduct our fire lectures and drills, extinguisher drills, how to get out, evacuation drills, and etc.
And ACP, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned from a very taxing fire episodes last year?
Last year taught me that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I can say a whole lot, but I think that encapsulates a lot of what it is that I do not have enough time to say.
Thank you very much, ACP Moreno Hines, who is, I want to get it right, in charge of the Fire Services Department at the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and also Superintendent McGregor, who is also the deputy of the Fire Services Department at the Royal Bahamas Police Force, talking about what was a very, they had to put in a lot of muscle last year, and even the beginning of this year in Andros, and those people who lost their livelihood, really. But again, you heard them say a number of things on tap for this year, nationwide, to help with fire prevention, fire safety, and of course, proper response to fires moving forward. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, and to the gentleman who joined me last evening as well. Thank you as well. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, the Department of Customs celebrating its 52nd year as a member of a worldwide organization. We talk about that right after the break.
We have to be mindful that as much as we want touristic development, what impacts the fishery? Over-coastal development, destruction of mangroves, overzealousness of the industry. We have a new movement called do-it-yourself fishing. That is anglers who come to the Bahamas, they don't engage in hiring a guide. Because of this approach, you are going to have people who are going to exhaust the resources.
This is an industry that's preserved. It should be for Bahamian guides only. We have the DIYs coming in here, and they're destroying our flats.
We try not to overfish certain areas, so we'll fish a certain area and we'll back off for a while because we don't want the fish to feel too much pressure.
It's not just using the buzzwords of the environment and the ecology. The tourists can be educated that the more you support local ownership, people are doing it obviously the right way, the more the economic circulation in the communities.
I think the most critical thing is accountability, and that accountability by way of legislation, both the act and regulations to govern fly fishing in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
I look at conservation efforts and the regulation that I've seen to protect the industry that's in the developed world. All of those jurisdictions have implemented strong regulation to protect their fisheries. We are way behind, but we do have a movement and a consciousness. We know where we need to be. Those are our resources, and we have to make an exerted effort to protect it, because that's the only gift that we have been given. And if we don't protect that, then we lose everything.
Building the lodge, I understood clearly the mission to continue what my father started. From this lodge, it has served as the headquarters. We finally got legislation passed in 2016, and it legitimized the guiding profession. We pushed to get the program established into BAMSI in the training of the next generation of guides, but it extends way beyond that.
We need more Bahamians in the industry who are doing the research to provide the information to the industry, that is to fishermen and to everybody who benefits from the resources.
We don't know the resources in this country. We grew up just hearing about sun, sand, and sea.
It is going to be through education and awareness, whether it's within our schools, whether it's in our communities, to conserve the environment, that is going to sustain the fly fishing industry.
Well, the future of fly fishing in the company, I think fly fishing is a very, very unique spot. I think it's going to get better because the guides are now being all certified. They're all getting proper knowledge of handling and how to run the whole system.
If you're a youngster and you want to get into this, it's a job like any other job. You got to live it. You got to love it.
Young entrepreneurs coming in, you want that kind of interest. You want that kind of drive and desire. You want to carry that. You want to become the product.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience, with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, the Department of Customs will be observing International Customs Week starting on Monday. Come later in the year, the Department of Customs will celebrate its 52nd year as a member of a global body, and that body is the World Customs Organization, which has been around really since 1952, but the Bahamas has been a part since around when? 1974, just after independence. Now, the World Customs Organization really has a representation of about 187 countries and customs administrations, that is, of course, across the globe, and they, get this you all, they process trade about to the tune of about 98% around the world. We all know, of course, what the Department of Customs does here in the Bahamas. Some of us like to get vexed at them from time to time, especially when we go to clear something. What? That's what it is? But in any event, we're here to celebrate excellence. And so a part of the week will be really the recognition of many staff members who have served about 20 years and more, whether they be former or present acting members and officers of the Department of Customs. And so this evening, welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Superintendents Delarice, I said that right, Delarice Hinsey and Delarice Young. Ladies, good evening to both of you and congratulations. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you both here. I want to talk about the theme for this year, Customs Protecting Society Through Vigilance and Commitment. What does that mean, and how important is that very theme for 2026 in the execution of what you do daily?
So, Shanique, that theme is very important because it speaks to how important our roles are as customs officers. That's as it relates to protection, keeping the public safe, you know, be that by way of stemming the flow of illicit drugs, firearms, anything that's harmful to society. And the vigilance speak to, you know, how we are keen on our duties, on picking up on things, you know, that if we're not vigilant, could easily slip through and cause harm to society. And that commitment, the word commitment in there just speaks to our dedication, you know, resolve to get the job done and to keep society safe, as well as to make sure that taxes are being paid.
I was about to say, because, and you can join in as well, Superintendent Young, because what you all do is also hugely important to nations' economies.
Yes.
Not just, we like to get vexed at you all sometimes when we hear what it is we owe customs, but this is worldwide. You don't look at me in that tone of voice. But this is worldwide, and really your role is very important to keeping economies afloat and healthy.
Yes, yes, it certainly is.
Yes.
Yes, and like Superintendent Hinsey said, we do more than simply collecting and protect. The protection aspect is what is spoken to when we talk about the vigilance and the commitment. Like she said, not just the drugs and all of the other illicit things. We have people, human trafficking. And so that is something that we are also connecting with other partners to ensure that we do our part.
The Department of Customs has a role in sort of halting or ending human trafficking?
Well, you know, you have intel. You can be privy to information or even things that come in that give us clues that this could be a part of a wider scheme. And so, you know, we can speak to that as well.
And we also, sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we also partner with other agencies, you know. That's a big part of our job. We collaborate with other law enforcement agencies to be effective, you know, in keeping the borders safe.
Well, that's, I mean, you know, you all have been a staple in the Bahamas now for, I mean, decades, really. And again, the role that you play is hugely important to keeping our economy afloat, ensuring that we don't shy away and try to subvert paying our taxes and all the rest of it. However, though, let's just talk about highlighting the people who work and perhaps even take a bit of chafing from many of us. And the fact that this year you are paying attention and taking the time to honor their hard work.
Okay, on Monday the 26th, that is when we will have our award ceremony. There will be 2 days of these awards being handed out to persons who have served for 20 to 45 years. And there are so very many persons who are now retired, but we will take the time to even honor these persons and their contribution. And those that are active in service now too will be recognized and just given some kind of appreciation for all that they have done and that they continue to do.
You know, you all give a human face to the Department of Customs, because many times, you know, you all just come across as customs, just that word, and that word that somehow sometimes make us a little uneasy. What is something about the Department of Customs and your relationship and the fact that you are reaching back to say, hey, you remember the contributions of this one and that one, and all those who have made it possible for the department to get where it is right now and to do the work you do? What is something that we would all be very surprised to know that happens within the fold?
Shanae, there are so many things that happen, but before we run out of time, we'd like to highlight what we'll be doing for the entire week.
Do you have a lot of time?
Yeah, so,
yes, okay,
so we're starting on the 25th, as we always do, with a church service. And we're going to be joining the pastor and the congregation at Bethel Baptist Church on Sunday at 11 a.m. And that will kick off our week of events.
Okay, so let's go through the week. What is some of the highlights and what's going to take place, and can the public participate?
Yeah, we'll get to that. You want to speak to some of that, Ms. Young?
Okay, like you said, formally we'll have the service that we begin with on Sunday, the 26th at Bethel Baptist. Monday will be our exhibition at the mall, and that will be for 1 week. It will start at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will have our tables set up and all of the officers there giving information. We'll be interacting with the public, and hopefully all of those questions, those burning questions that you have, this is an opportunity now to come and have them answered.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the award ceremony that will be later that afternoon, Monday and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And Superintendent Lindsay, you can
and
tell the rest of the week.
Yes, the award ceremony will start at 6 p.m. and it will be at Government House. So Her Excellency will be presenting those awards.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the awards that will be given to, for long dedicated service, there will also be 6 persons who will be receiving the World Customs Organization Merit Certificates.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 persons would receive that, in addition to the other awards that will be given out that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the 28th, it would be T-shirt day, a more relaxed day for staff, and then there would be breakfast giveaway. And so there'll be a free breakfast giveaway for staff and customers. And that will be at Customs headquarters situated on University Drive. And then on the 29th, I don't know if you're aware, we want the public to know that we also have an adopted school, which is the T.A. Thompson Junior High School. So on the 29th, we will be making presentation to that school and also to the senior citizens' homes around Nassau.
So all of them. It's good. Again, that's why, it's so wonderful to have you both here, because it's a face of customs we don't see, or rather a side of customs we don't see. And it's good to know that, listen, you all too are human beings, and then to see that you belong to a wider body like this. Y'all ain't just doing what y'all doing here in the Bahamas. And just independent of anything else. It's actually, this is what happens. You all heard. They process, for about 98% of trade around the country, around the world. And our customs department make up a part of that 98%. So listen, I know that you all going to wrap up on the 30th. That's on Friday with the grill and chill for all of the staff. And then on Saturday, a children's party and fair that's happening as well. I guess that's a family fun day.
Family Fun Day, and we'll also be hosting the residents of the children's home around New Providence. So, and this is, it's important for the public to know, Shanique, that this isn't anything new. This has been going on for years. The Customs Department have been doing this, so the Comptroller thought it necessary for us to come on your show and to let the public know that these things are happening. And we would also like to thank, even though Customs was doing this, we have donations from Corporate Bahamas who assist, as well as the staff donate of their own funds to make these presentations, donations, and these events happen. So we want to thank them for partnering with us.
Yeah, and obviously, the controller, he's been on the show before, but I'd like to know, have you all shared, or perhaps do you revisit, like, for example, a New Year mission during this time and this celebration as well? Or reinforce it?
You mean our current mission, if we revisit that?
Yes, or perhaps just reinforce your mission, a sort of a start, a new start, a fresh start.
Yeah, I think like every person, even in their personal life, there's a reset.
Yeah.
And so we're reminded and encouraged to continue in the path, It's something good and we want to continue doing good. And we recognize the importance of showing the public that, yes, we are tax collectors, but we are human beings. We have families.
Yes.
And, we want to give back.
Yes, and hey, you're obviously doing that. Once again, the celebrations start on Monday, officially on Sunday with a church service at Bethel Baptist Church, and it goes through the entire week of various observances. You all heard exactly what it is. If people want more information, particularly at the public events where they can attend, how would they access this information?
Oh, we have a Facebook page. Customs has a website, Bahamas Customs and Excise Department, and we have a Facebook page. And so flyers would be posted.
I thank you very much, Superintendents Delarice Hinsey and Delarice Young. Thank you all very much. Congratulations on near 52 years of being a part of that global organization. We see now y'all don't just act on your own. You actually are part of a whole worldwide body that are very focused and intent on ensuring that your individual countries continue to do well, and that the taxes are collected and obviously sent into the national coffers.
And the borders are safe.
And the borders are safe, that as well. You do so much more than just collect taxes, and that our borders are safe. Who knew y'all played a role there as well? That's real. But we thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
And
Thank
thank you to the Department of Customs for the excellent work you do, and always ready to assist as well. Anyone who is needing assistance and sort of walking through of any sort of new measure that you all introduce and bring on stream. So thank you very, very much. Again, Superintendents Young, Superintendent Hinsey, thank you very much for being here, and congratulations once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. A big thank you to my Hot Topics panel at the top of tonight's show, and of course in the middle of the show, night 2, as we spoke with the Royal Bahamas Police Force on fire safety, the huge amount of fires that took place late last year into this year, and also their plans moving forward to bring about relief to people and even prevention. I thank them as well. And once again, ladies, thank you. And a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in this evening. I certainly enjoyed having you along, and I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.